Ken Takakura, Yasaku Matsuda, Shigeru Koyama. I gotta work on my Japanese accent. I like the way the old Japanese mobsters talk. You know the way they would talk
Yeah.
to each other, and he would like bark at them. I'm like, dude, I wish I could speak that right now.
Pushing it. Oh. You're like,
oh, yeah. It's like, wow, what did you say right now?
Say, but that other guy is really scared.
I like to learn Japanese, but I heard it's a bitch. All right, man.
Oh,
Here we
dude,
go.
like the old Hollywood movies, man.
To the bad voiceover. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nightcap. What's going on, Rich?
Not much. How are you guys doing? Well,
cheers.
Steve.
It's just me and you tonight, bud. Al's on hiatus. He's undercover somewhere. And so wherever he's at, hope he's staying safe. No. Today we're rolling just Double Dragon. Dude, going after Black Rain, 1989 film. Were you familiar with this movie before I shot it over to you?
Yes and no. Maybe I seen it a long time ago, like literally when it first came out and I was a kid. But it was like watching it the first time new for me. I kind of had an idea it was about Japan, but that's it. That's the only thing that kind of came to my memory.
Yeah, this one wasn't something that I was familiar with. I was online on social media, and this guy was posting up some pictures of it, and I was like, man, these visuals look pretty cool. And I was like, is this movie any good? And he's like, yeah, check it out. So I was like, and then once I saw that it was made by Ridley Scott, I was like, how do I not know this movie? And so I watched the trailer for it, and I was like, you know what, this is something I want to watch. So I don't know how much buzz this movie gets in 2020, but I thought it was a pretty cool movie, and we'll hop into it right now. But before we do that, what are you drinking tonight? We are the Nightcap. I know I'm horrible at this, but
sugar-free cola.
Sugar-free cola, nice. I keep that blood sugar low. I'm doing the opposite. I'm drinking a cider right now. So gotta stay refreshed on these hot summer nights, man.
Dude, it is hot right now.
For sure. All right, well, let's get into the little breakdown, and then we'll hop into the plot.
All right.
So Black Rain is a 1989 American action thriller film directed by Ridley Scott, written by Craig Bulletin and Warren Lewis. It stars Michael Douglas, Andy Garcia, Ken Takakura, Kate Capshaw, and features Yasuku Matsuda and Shigeru Koyama. I might be pronouncing those wrong, but I'm doing my best. The film focuses on two NYPD officers who arrest a member of the Yakuza and must escort him back to Japan. Once there, he escapes, and the two officers find themselves dragged deeper and deeper into the Japanese underworld. This movie came out in 1989, had a budget first of $30 million with a box office of $134 million. So it did pretty well. Let's go ahead and hop right into the story here. What did you think overall of the overall plot?
The overall plot, it was pretty straightforward. I watch a lot of movies, and I do like crime. How do you say it? Noir? Yeah, I do like those type of movies. And this is kind of straightforward. It's a cop, detective, who is in charge of escorting a criminal. Criminal gets away. Cop goes in, finishes the job and get the criminal. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much to it. But what really set it apart from that was it was Japan. It was Yakuza. It was Japanese mobsters.
But yeah, I think you're right. The plot, like you said, itself is fairly straightforward. It's that kind of typical 80s, cop movie with the kind of the cop who has a hard time following directions, right? Yeah. Michael Douglas is a real hard ass. Plays Nick.
Big machismo.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to get the bad guy no matter what, even if he's got to break an order or two, right? Break some of the rules. But I think, like you said, it's the setting and the way it's shot too, which we'll get into next in the production. But yeah, overall, story-wise and scope, to me, the score, I think I ended up giving it, I ended up giving it a 4. So it wasn't super high. It's not super complex, but it wasn't bad either. I don't know if it's just nostalgia, but going back, watching these older movies now, I don't know, they just have a different weight about them too. Nowadays everything is trying to be hyper complex and so many twists and turns. Sometimes it's kind of nice to watch something that's just fairly, like you said, straightforward. You know what I mean? That you
Just
just know what it
straightforward.
is, and
Yeah.
you just enjoying the plot. I'm sorry, you're just enjoying the character development. You know, versus trying to be like twist and turn through this crazy plot and trying to keep up. Like, wait a minute, who's that guy? Who's this? What's going
Right. Wait a minute. The white girl's the head of the Yakuza? No shit.
on? Yeah,
Did
exactly.
not see that one coming.
Let's get into the part actually where I graded the highest was the production. The cinematography really jumped out to me. Even that opening shot where Nick's character is riding the motorcycle, right, and he's going over the bridge there, and you can see like the sun rising, and then they got that like cheesy '80s rock song playing in the
Oh,
back. But I don't know, man. I just ate it up. I thought it was great.
it's almost like a total Rockies opening. You know what I mean? Where he's
Yeah,
like running in the sunset and
yeah, just
total 80s, 90s movie thing.
yeah.
Top
He's
Gun
got
did it with
that.
the motorcycle. You know what I mean? It's cool. I like it. I mean, I'm glad you brought back the throwback nostalgia because, dude, it was like the soundtrack, the 80s soundtrack, and the way it was set up. For me, I don't know. It's totally retro looking at it back, but it was cool. It was definitely refreshing. Um,
Yeah. And
like,
then I what do you call it? Even like he's got that kind of mullet thing going on. And then every movie,
mm,
you got to have a good sidekick. And then Andy Garcia was actually pretty good in this movie. I thought he was a good contrast to Nick because Nick is
oh
such
yeah,
like I said, like a hard ass. And then you got Charlie, his character, and he's like kind of like the nice guy, but he's still a cop too. He still wants to get stuff done. And I thought he was kind of a cool contrast in it.
yeah, they fit well together. They were definitely a good team. You know who? The only thing that kind of bothered me about the production thing, man, Japan's a very smoky place, man. They must live in the mist. Like,
I like that opening shot when they're
it
coming
was,
down. He's coming down in the airplane, and you can see like the steam rising up from the city. I mean, I know it gets
yeah,
pretty cold there. I know whether it's if there's a lot of factories or something, I don't know. But to me, that kind of played off the overall vibe of, like I said, there's a lot of shots in this where it feels like sci-fi almost. You know what I
well,
mean?
that's where it felt like a Ridley Scott movie to me.
Yes.
Was well, particularly Aliens. It just felt like
Or even
it was
Blade Runner,
dark
right?
and yeah, or Blade Runner. God, I forget he did Blade Runner. That's one we got to do. The old
Yeah,
one
we
of
do have to
the
do that one.
but hint foreshadowing. Um, but yeah, it just a smoke. It was very smoky all the time. It had a very steampunk feel to it, but it was Japan and it was kind of
Yeah.
cool. So it did
So you
kind of
still
work,
get
but
those you still get those neon lights, right?
mhm.
Like in Tokyo and stuff. Like, so that's cool. But then you get a lot of steam, and then obviously there's like they got motorcycles that are running around over the city and stuff. I
And
thought that was
flags on their
cool.
back.
The
Yeah.
flags on their back. Even another shot that stood out to me. Well, there's a couple of them. The one where right after Charlie dies, and he's on the bridge, and he's kind of like I don't know. He's like, I don't know if he's crying or what, but the girl goes to see him, and he's saying that he has like those cool red lights on the bottom, and you can see like the city behind it. I don't know. It felt like
Oh,
that shot could have been out of Blade Runner. Like it just felt super rad to me.
it did. The
And then
contrast setting was really good.
yes, yeah. I just really liked it. I mean, that's really Scott, and he's known for those like just
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of that great vibe that kind of world he creates. And you can see even that foreshadowing of this, even in 1989, he's doing these cool moves and making this kind of cool world, and I think that was kind of part of the story really is they go to Japan and it's like this another world for these guys because they're from New York. They're in different territory. They got,
Oh yeah.
the
They don't
cops
speak
are acting
Japanese.
different. Exactly.
I liked how there was hardly any captions on the movie. Like when they were talking Japanese, I felt just out of place like those two
That's a good
because I was
point.
like, I have no idea what they're saying. Then every once in a while a caption would come through. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like why there? But the rest of the time when they're talking, I felt like I was part of the Nick and Charlie because I was like, I have no idea what they're fucking saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
exactly right. And there's that was like the scene when they first get there, and you can imagine what it would be like getting off to like a 12, 6 hour flight, and then the cops show up and they give you the paperwork and you can't read a word of it, and
yeah.
they give them over to the guys. It turns out they're not the real cops, and you're just like, oh, crap, what do you
Oh,
do? But
I
you can
got
totally see that
hacked.
you can totally see
Yeah.
that happening, right?
And the fucked up thing about it is they didn't even get off the plane. It's right when they landed they got robbed.
Yep.
Like,
I know. He's like, oh, yep, these are the guys.
hey,
And they're like, oh, shit. Yeah,
stupid
that was pretty
Americans.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it, and then even the music too. Some of like the kind of cheesy, like overdone drums, and kind of almost like electric
80s, 80s,
rockish vibe,
90s.
80s,
Yeah.
90s vibe on the music. It was cool. I don't know. Like I said, it really kind of brought it in. Maybe it just sounds so refreshing now because we're so far removed from it. I mean, that movie's like 30 years old now, so it
Oh,
felt
dude.
cool.
Hell yeah. Michael Douglas's hair. Did you see that thing? That's like
That is
Quad
legit.
Beatles on crack.
Yeah, that thing is a mane of hair.
Yeah. It's like he got motorcycle hair riding with no helmet on and just never took it down.
Yep, for
It
sure.
was crazy.
Um, and then also too, just the suits and everything that they're wearing back then in that time period. And then, yeah, I don't know, it was just cool. And the before, well, let's transition to the acting. The bad guy, Sato. So his character, right? There's a couple of parts too where he's got those like crazy, like I don't know what you call those sunglasses. He's wearing them at night. He's got that kind of crazy
Yeah.
haircut too, and he's on a motorcycle. Like he looked like a sci-fi villain to me. I don't.
I thought you were gonna say his crazy eyes. Like when he gets those
He's got crazy
and
eyes
just
too. Yeah,
stares, he's like,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
he gives you that death stare, which just kill you with his vision.
yeah.
But overall, I thought he was a pretty good villain. What did you think?
I liked how they played on his reckless, crazy young upstart. I wish there was just a little bit more of that backstory of his breakaway from the traditional Yakuza and
Yeah.
their very traditional rules. I think that would have added to the story a little bit more, which would have been really cool because how often do you see a Yakuza Japanese crime movie or like mafia movie? You usually just see Italian, American mobsters. You don't really see the Eastern side. You don't never see Yakuza or triads. You know what I mean? Maybe in TV shows, but hardly ever in movies.
Yeah, it was a story that we hadn't really heard before. At least I can't remember of another movie that really going deep into that world. It was cool. It was interesting. Um, in terms of the acting overall, I mean, I'm not a huge Michael Douglas fan, but I thought he did pretty good in this. I mean, you could see his motivations. You could see, and then there's just kind of this dark cloud hanging over him from his past in New York. And, did he or did not, they're kind of playing with the idea of steal the money. Is he a dirty cop? Is he a good cop? And you can kind of see his character arc where, he's in a tough situation. Obviously, he's estranged from his wife and his kids and stuff, and he's trying to do right by them. And but he broke the rules. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
then you have, Charlie's character. He's kind of like the fun-loving guy, the sidekick, the Robin, to his Batman. I thought that was pretty cool. But then also too, Matsumoto, the Japanese inspector that they get sidekicked with, that comes onto their team, and you got to see him kind of loosen up a little bit, even if it was a little cheesy in that whole like karaoke thing.
Yeah.
But
Get
you got
over
to.
here.
Yeah, singing, what was it, Ray Charles,
Yeah.
But even then, too, you get to see him kind of loosen up a little bit. If I had any kind of
guy. Sorry.
yeah, right. Exactly. It's from New York.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. And even Kate Capshaw's character as Joyce, right? Her character. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's her name.
Yeah.
She seemed legit. To be honest, I only
Yeah.
know her from Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones.
Oh, is that where? That's her. You're right.
That's her. Yeah.
Oh, it's
So she's obviously. Maybe she's still in Japan. Right, like in the beginning of that movie, she never left. She went back.
She went from India to Japan. She just moving on up. She went from singing into the club, owning the club.
She got a thing for those Yakuza boys, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All their acting was good. I liked it. But Joyce, I just got to bring her up. I did not know the point of her character in the movie at all.
It didn't really need her, but no, I will say I thought she did well with what she had. Mm-hmm. If anything, my complaint would be is that I wish we got to know a little bit more about her backstory. Maybe we got a little bit more about Sato, like you said, got to know more about Matsumoto so that we could connect with them even more. That's really maybe one of the major complaints I have about this movie is I thought they were cool characters. And if they would have spent maybe 5-10 more minutes and maybe made the movie a little bit longer, if we got to connect with the characters a little bit more, I think that would have been a good thing.
Yeah. And back to Michael Douglas. I liked his character, but he was also just a fucking asshole.
He was.
It kind of made me think of like, oh yeah, this is how like foreigners think of Americans. We go over there with these arrogant cowboy, do what we say, do what we want type of attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it worked though. You know what I mean? There was nothing endearing about him. Like,
yeah.
Nothing at all. Even at the end when he kind of, is like, I'll go the right way. Here's the place. It was like, at the
After I
same time,
stole him,
like,
by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you're probably going to go to New York and take more money, man. Like,
I know
giving him back
exactly
because
what you
you couldn't
mean.
get
Like,
him on the plane.
I know, right? He's like, there's a way I'm getting him to the metal detector. Here, you can have him.
Yeah, I'll go to jail
go.
if I bring this.
I think you're right. Like you said, he was definitely a dick. But
nothing redeeming about his character at all.
At the same time, it was like I felt like he was a real person. Like I feel like there really is that cop out there. You know what I mean? Who? He got into the force because he's attracted to that kind of that lifestyle.
A bull in the china shop.
Exactly, right. and to that power. But then at the same time, you kind of got to see that contrast first with Charlie, and then with Matsumoto, right? Because Moto's, he's very like a very stoic man. Obviously driven by like that sense of honor, and so he kind of like challenges him on that mode. He's like, okay, you're being, you're this and that, but what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You're gonna do the right thing. And at the end, he kind of does and shows it. So I think, like you said, he wasn't necessarily a likable guy, but I did think he was believable, and I think he actually did bring a kind of a cool contrast in it. And like I said, you still felt like that he had some motivation, for the stuff that he did, even for his family. And then that scene where you see him kind of grieving, right, after Charlie dies, and he goes into the hideout and he kind of destroys the whole room,
Oh yeah.
Like that was like his kind of cathartic, like, okay, I gotta get this emotion
believable. Like totally believable character, like something.
He wasn't just like, oh, I'm just a hard ass. Yeah, F everybody.
That's why I said it kind of worked.
It kind of worked, yeah.
I mean, it worked enough to where I didn't like his character. I thought he was just a dick. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, right? If I ever meet him in real life, I'm just like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, there's just something about him. Like, oh man, if I saw you on the street, I don't know what I would do. You might fucking shoot me, punch me, or even if I'm nice to you, you still might call me a dick. Like,
I know, he's such a jerk. And but let's get into the directing, the overall how Ridley Scott did on this one. I'm kind of mixed on him on this movie because there's a lot of things I like about this movie. But there was some stuff too where, as much as the nostalgia wears off, I can't ignore that, there was some cheesy parts. Some of the action I thought could have been choreographed better. Which granted, I think for the time period, it was on par, but I think it could have done a little bit better. And then, like I said, just the characters in general, I wish that we had a little bit more depth in them. And also to the ending, I don't know, it felt a little drawn out for me. And I like a good resolution, but I wish they kind of would have did it a little tidier. And I don't know, it just felt a little too happy ending. I wish it kind of would have had a little bit more of like a restlessness at the end of it, because the movie kind of starts off in this restless pace where, like I said, where there's that dark cloud hanging over Nick and he's got all this stuff going on. At the end, it was, it was just, I don't know, it was all smiles and, backslapping. I kind of wish that kind of fit the world the way we entered it. It would have been kind of cool to kind of end it a little bit more mixed, not darker. Just not just the good guys won, bad guys lost.
A little more grittier.
Move on.
I mean, yeah. You could have lost an eye or something.
Yeah.
Or, had crutches, or someone could have died.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like I said, I kind of have mixed feelings of overall. What did you give for a score in terms of directing?
Directing, I actually give it a 20.
Okay, me too. I give it the same.
It wasn't anything necessarily bad about it. I liked it. Like, you brought up a lot of good points. The way it kind of moved along. There were some points that could, like you said, what would have made it a little bit better, at least for me. I thought that opening bike scene, it's just distracting for me. I thought it was just a little bit lame. I was like, what is going on?
I guess
what am I getting myself into? I thought I was watching a detective movie, but then it kind of played on to that bad boy mentality, and maybe that was big in the 90s. That kind of like bad boy attitude, you know what I mean?
I think it was foreshadowing to the race that he has later with Sato, right? Just to show you that, okay, he's, pretty good on the bike, obviously.
Oh, right? You know what? You're right. Just so it's not like, oh, this guy is a superhero. He could just jump on anything and be cool.
Yeah, he's not what's that shit from Star Wars? Just
jumps in the and a little foreshadowing too to Sato's biker gang too. You know what I mean? Them coming to Japan with. Oh, you know what I actually thought was really cool about the directing too? He added those nice little touches, like the flags on the back of the bikes. The old samurais back in the day, who the Yakuza may have come from, like Ronin samurai. When they would ride with those kind of flags. That
I see. I didn't know that.
And their lords, and I thought that was a cool little touch. that they did onto the bikes because they were like steel horses. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the Yakuzas do follow like a very strict like samurai code. That's why I say like, not that I don't know it, but at least from what I heard about it, it's
Yeah.
very Ronin samurai like to me because they have their lords and they have their. That was actually my X factor for this movie. Moving on just to that was the Yakuza itself. I really liked how they brought it into that world. It's a very mysterious, feels old type of society. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah,
they have
definitely going back to that honor culture and stuff. And you even see that with Sato too, right? When he like gives up his finger, which I kind of not sure if he needed to do that. Considering that he was gonna have his guys kind of showing to crash the party. I was kind of like, okay, you really
for a bad guy, he sold it to the very end.
He did. Yeah, he really did. But yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. Kind of what you said earlier too. Like, if anything, I think we wish we could have gotten him a little bit more into that world and exactly why they were mad at him. You know, the hierarchy there, what he was doing. You know, and kind of understanding more of that, what was happening. You know, I think that might have given it a little more gravity too towards the end when we actually had that showdown. So, like I said, it kind of had mixed feelings. There's a lot about this I liked, but I definitely could see some places where this could have been better and improved. But you just touched on it. Let's get into X Factor. Overall, X Factor, what'd you end up giving it?
I gave it an 8. I really liked the whole Japanese Yakuza mobster stuff. Thought it was really cool. And some of the scenes, too, just for me, like that scene where the motorcycle gang, before, where he leads Charlie away and gets his head chopped off. That, like, whole scene where he's just, it's like, is that guy riding a motorcycle in the mall? Like, where exactly are they? It was just a really
bad sign.
Yeah, right. I was like, well, when in Japan, I guess you could do that. So I don't know. I give it an 8. It was pretty solid. This is probably one of my higher X Factor scores that I given, but
I didn't give it as high. I give it a 5. Overall, I mean, it's definitely a movie of the period, but it was a better version of some, like you said, of some of those Sylvester Stallone movies and Van Damme movies and Arnold movies. Like, I definitely have a warm place in my heart for those movies, but this is a better version of them in terms of story and the world and stuff. It doesn't have these giant fight scenes, but overall the setting and the acting was better. So I definitely liked it. And like I said, it definitely plays off even like versus what we get, what we're getting nowadays. It's a nice, like almost like refreshing type of thing because it is in the simplicity, it's refreshing, right? Because you're just, okay, this is the good guys, this is the bad guys. This is what motivates him. Okay, now he's going to go on his little journey and his trek, and I liked it.
He lost a criminal. He has to go get the criminal so he doesn't look like an ass.
Exactly. To restore his honor, bro.
Restore his honor.
Hey, that's all I needed. Okay, I got it. I'm on board. All right.
Exactly.
Let's go get that guy.
Story. Give me a good story setting in Japan, and I'm along for the ride. Let's see where this goes.
I don't need an Ocean's 11 ending where there's like all these characters and the plan works out perfectly, and guys.
Right.
So yeah, overall for a score, I ended up giving it a 69. I kind of feel in my mind, like at least in my heart, that I actually liked it better than that. But we'll see. Only time will tell. I definitely like the visuals.
It's different when you score it out. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm disappointed in my own scores. Obviously, you caught me a couple times going, what the fuck? I like this movie.
But it's just funny too, because time tells. Because sometimes you like something right away, and then like 6 months later, you're like, meh. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where the scoring helps, like kind of like set you on pace, and then you think back in your mind, okay, did I really like it as much as I thought? Yeah.
I gave it a 70. We were actually really close.
Oh, well, yeah, we're really close.
Mm-hmm. It was cool. I enjoyed it. Maybe it was the setting, the music, and everything about it, but it was cool. I enjoyed watching this overall than watching a modern movie, which I have watched like a couple since I've watched this, and I don't know. This was kind of just cool.
This makes me
watch an older movie again.
I was going to say, this makes me want to dig deeper into Ridley Scott's filmography, see if there's any of the other gems that I missed like along the way. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some
I looked it up. There's a lot of movies that I looked at it. I was like, what? I've never heard of this.
Oh, we got to look. We got to take a look. Yeah, because it's despite the being aged a little bit, sometimes a good movie is a good movie, and it takes you back to that time and place. It's cool.
It's interesting watching him grow because I've watched a lot of Ridley Scott movies. And to watch his older ones compared to his newer ones, you could see some of his techniques morph into this art form. Where it was a technique, he turned it into an art. And you could kind of see a little bit of that in his modern work too. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. So I'm not going to shoot down the idea about doing a director piece. You know what I mean? Even if it
Yeah.
is like a 3 or 4 movie run, I would do it on Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone who deserves it, it's definitely him. I mean, he's a guy's awesome. Like you said, eventually we got to dig into the Blade Runner movies because those movies are
Those are
just they're
some of my
legendary.
favorite sci-fi's, man.
Yeah.
It's like detective, steampunk,
Yep.
future,
Yeah.
robots, sex robots. Like crazy.
Exactly right. All right, man. Well, let's do a little cheers to Ridley Scott. You know, to Michael
Yeah.
Douglas and that cool mullet you had back then, and
Fuck yeah.
from the nightcap we enjoyed it. So, and to Al, wherever you are, stay safe and
Hope
honor.
your staycation is good.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Late.